Okay, so this is going to be part two of the video. So yeah, it's very very annoying um, how Marco was such a good parent, and yet the social services have no ability to mention that or talk about that in the court case. There was no profiling. There was no um, positives. You had no sense of who anything, and I can't even remember, but I did a walk. I did a walk. I was so furious when they said that I couldn't act as supervisor for Sophie because I hadn't gone through their authority. I hadn't gone through their fucking stupid tests that I was probably just going to fail because I don't trust them any longer over what they did. I'm really really angry. But I did a nice walk and I got 10p ham. Can you see 10p ham? And I got 3 packets of these, which is also 10p. The one thing in America, they didn't have the 10p hams. I said I didn't like, well, I said in England you can get all these 10p hams, and yeah, I was happy that I managed to get that. Cheered me up. I went on a big long walk because I was just stressing over how social services think that they can find, okay, my sister's on a register, she has no chance of having the child, and then Marco, he's amazing, he's an amazing dad. I don't know many amazing dads, but then I don't know many dads. I know a few massage clients, but I guess I never saw them with kids and stuff. But this guy is really really good. He does not deserve to be treated like he shouldn't be trusted. He does not deserve to be treated like a shark. But yeah, when it comes to social services, I think they are swimming in deep muddy water. Why? Because karma is a really big thing. And if you're pestering people like Sophie and saying that she can't do it, you're right, she can't do it. And part of the reason why she can't do it is because of a lack of emotion, a lack of caring, a lack of worry, a lack of if the thought of someone taking her child away from her was kind of a bit like, oh, that's not very nice, but it's very low tone. Whereas, it's the thought of someone taking a child off me, get the pepper spray out. I'm actually going to, if I had a child in social services on my back, I'd probably actually walk around with the pepper spray just in case they start coming. Then get away, bug spray or something. But yeah, you don't feel that with her. But with Marco, you definitely do. You definitely sense that he's doing things right. And then to have this being completely not recognized, and for them to be treated like the family. They all constantly say that the family unit. No, these are two very different people with very different skills. One's shit at it, one's amazing at it, and therefore it's almost like by calling it family, they'll take all Sophie's problems and try and place it on him and try and make out that they were smarter, they were better, they were wiser. They were trying to it felt like they were bigging themselves up about how yeah, so we have to come up with the solution because we are the people that come up with the solution, and so we're going to come up with the solution, and we think there's a few solutions, so we're going to go through all the solutions in our solution process, and through this process, it's not very easy. We need to they need to establish time to develop something, and they need an extensive testing program, even though they've gone through tons and tons of testings. But West Sussex is not happy with the test, so this needs to have a test. And nothing was about who they are as a person. Did you know that this guy has actually worked in the Portuguese government for 7 years, and he was specifically making programs for autistic people? That is a very relevant part of the conversation. Why? Because it shows that he understands autistic people and knows he was trying to help them by making a program for them, and it shows that he's also responsible because he was working in the Portuguese government. It's responsible because he's very good at multitasking, and he's got so much care and respect, and there's nothing wrong with this guy's ability. So to act like they have the authority to butt into these people's lives. I felt sorry for him. I don't feel sorry for my sister. She can't do it. She can't do it. But him, he can. And they were treating it like this was their child. This was their decision. This was their rule. And the amount of anger that you cause people, not people like my sister, she doesn't have much anger, but he's a good parent. And when you're dealing with parents, you know, people care about their children, and to think, to be treated like you're bad just because you know, he's got three sons. Okay, two of them are actually 21 and 18. I thought they were a bit younger than that. They weren't. So this is the reason why he hasn't talked about them. He talks a lot about his eight-year old, but I think the other two, one of them's moved out and one of them's 18. You know, they're older. They don't actually need him. They are getting to the age where that they're more independent and living an independent life. So, you know, he doesn't actually have three other kids to look after. I thought he had three other kids, so he has less than what I thought. So he has more time to focus on a new baby, a new project, a new, you know, and these people had social services have absolutely no right to treat him like he has any they shouldn't treat him like any other parent. Any other parent, you know, they don't have this. And because they've got their teeth into Sophie, they feel like they can get their teeth into any baby she has, and they forget that Marco's actually far more like the mother. And I feel like it's partly a sexist thing. He's a father. They're putting him in the category of father doesn't do much, mother does everything, this mother's shit, so we're going to grab our teeth into this and cause the father as much problems as possible, even though he doesn't deserve it, even though he's trustworthy, even though he's very responsible, even though he's completely understanding and knows all about autisticness. But this meetings that they have, they don't ever talk about the positive sides of what I saw in him. And it's just, how can you not have a conversation where you don't talk about the important things? You know, I just, and to think that he's had meeting after meeting and so much, and they still don't trust him. You know, it's like they're swimming in the sea and they're just assuming that everyone they come across is a shark, when really he's probably a far better parent than all of them. And that's what he said. He said when it comes to Leo, you could be the best parent in the world and they'll still fail you. Why? Because they got their teeth in him. They grabbed Leo from the moment from the 3 weeks from when he was born. They grabbed their teeth into him, and they knew that he was a big money making, because he was a very small baby. You can make a ton of money on foster caring and on maybe nurseries when he gets older, and just loads and loads of meetings, loads and loads of appointments with my sister, meeting up. You know, they could easily have made £200,000 off that baby. One baby could have easily made £200,000. And I just feel like it's a money thing. And I feel like the people at the top are heartless, because to be spiritual, you have to be recognized that karma comes back. Now, if you're pestering people like my sister, no karma's going to come back, because she's not giving off any emotions. But when you're treating good parents as if they are sharks, good parents as if, you know, they can't be trusted. You can't trust their opinion. If they want to leave the child with an auntie and we haven't assessed that auntie, no, that's our baby. We don't trust you. Even though we've seen you every single day for the last 6 weeks, even though we've had 10 meetings, even though you've had 2 assessments of 6-week courses where you've been tested for a long time, you failed one, well, that's obviously proof that, you know, you can't be. You just need to have a 5-minute conversation with him. Talk to his 8-year-old son. You would realize that he's obviously a very good dad. And so to do all this and to still not trust him, I just think, so this social services is dumb. They need to be shut down. I understand there needs to be some sort of social services, because there are people like my sister that can't do it. But it's crazy, because they're still talking about Leo and what to do. And one council was saying that Sophie, you know, this child should not go with Sophie, and should go into adoption. I think the adoption is now off the cards because they're doing such a good job with this child. But you know, one social services is saying no, they can't have this second one, and the other one is saying they can. Now I was throwing all the anger onto the one that says we can't, and then I found out, and because they were explaining to me for the last few days, and I was putting all my anger into that one. I was thinking, okay, I want to channel my anger into whatever's doing wrong. And then I found out the details, which is that this one that thought they can was actually going to put Sophie as the main carer. and that was the reason why they were saying no, not because they were saying no to the couple, but just because they were saying no to Sophie as being the carer. And then suddenly, as soon as I learned that detail, I was like, no, 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 okay, I need to switch my anger over. I need to put my anger onto the ones that are that that think Sophie can do it, because she can't. I mean, she had a £50,000 training where it proved that she can't do it as the main carer. Sophie cannot be a main carer. She's not got it in her to care enough. So yeah, I really don't agree with that. I think Mark, if they are going to get Leo, Marco needs to be the main carer, because he's the one who's responsible. Sophie's not responsible enough to be the main carer of a child. She can be a supporter. She can be a supporter of both, but I don't yeah, I don't see that. She should not be. So yeah, if you're gonna, but the thing is, the whole time I was focusing an anger on something, not on Sophie because she can't do it, but on Marco, he can. And therefore, I was trying to think, who the hell is doing this to people? How many other people out there are there that are good parents, doing everything right? You're doing night feed, you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're caring amazingly for this child, and then to have social services just ignore all of that, ignore all your positives, and not even bother giving a good description of you, not say anything positive in a meeting, but just act so cold, so bland. you know I think people joining social services is a bit like going to war. You go to war to want to help the kids, but when you actually find yourself in war, you actually find that the war is shit. You're not helping, you're just killing people and causing problems for the neighborhood. So people don't like it. And with social services, you go in there helping the kids, and then you realize that actually the majority of people that you're dealing with probably aren't sharks. They probably are just people with a question mark, and yet you're being given orders by the people at the top. Must be for this many times, 5 visits a week. Even if you can have a whole visit and think this is completely pointless, because I'm not worried about this child one bit. I don't feel worried about that child one bit. Now, if Marco wasn't there, I would be very worried, so he could not do it. But with Marco, I feel no worry whatsoever. So why are they still pestering him? Why are they still not trusting him? Why are they saying that he needs an extensive test? He doesn't need an extensive test. He should be treated like any other parent that is a good parent, because that's what he is. So why are you saying that he needs an extensive long test when he's already had so many tests? It's just a money making scam. You're just trying to make as much money from kids as possible, and because of this, I think it needs to be shut down. Whatever you're doing, it's wrong. And I think the reason why, I was thinking the best type of person to be a social worker is actually a spiritualist, someone who can read people, someone who can get a good sense of profile building, someone who can build up a character of who that person is. Now, I was doing that because I was thinking this is what a social worker should do. And I was doing that with Marco. And I was thinking, what kind of person is he? And we were talking about past lives. And for some reason, for a long time, I've had this thought of 14 kids, and I've no idea where, because I said, it's his kids. Did he have 14 kids in his past life? And then the answer was always no, they're not his kids. Maybe one or two were, but not his. But yeah, I got this in my head, and then when he was asking me, have you seen my past life? And I said no. But as I was saying no, I haven't had a vision. I had a vision, and of this vision, I saw this sort of plumpish lady who looked like she was wearing a Victorian outfit, standing in front of like a Tudor. It was like an old Tudor fireplace, but it kind of been modernized to be more Victorian. So it was an old fireplace modernized, and it was in the kitchen. And I saw these two girls in front of her. One looked about 15, and maybe it was either 17 and 15, or it was a bit younger, maybe like 15 and 14 or something. But they were two kids. And then I saw in this vision, a man who looked like a gardener, and she was like a cook for these group. And then I was trying to feed into this vision that I got, and thinking, so I think Marco was a female in a past life. And I told him that I think you're a female, and he nodded and said, I think you're right. He's got a very good feminine quality, and he's very good at multitasking. And for you to build up some sort of past life, or believe, sense who they were in their past life. You need to see a little bit of them doing their daily to try and work out what kind of person they are. Or and just to see him cooking, I just felt like that was it was a like that brought that memory out. And then I was trying to think of this house, and I saw a big estate, almost like the Von Trapp children, so like Sound of Music kind of thing, where there was like a big, large family, and she was the cook of a large group of people. That she was the cook, but because she was so good at cooking and so good at organizing and so good at running, I think she was almost like the main housekeeper as well. And there was the cook, and then the two sort of children servants, and then the gardener, and then I think there was an actual nanny, but because there was 14 of kids, I think they kind of needed more than just one nanny, and the two kids were kids themselves as well. So I feel like she did play an active role in this sort of scene and stuff, and she might have had kids as well, but I feel like this is the sort of this is just his past life. And when it comes to, and then I was thinking, has he had anything more before that? And I do sense there was the one which was just like a ruffian, like everyone. Everyone's first life is usually pretty shit. And then the second one I think was a ship, and I felt, because I kept getting an image of like a cartoon Jolly Roger, like a pirate dressed up in 16th century clothes. And then I felt like that I got that image, which was just a cartoon image, with a parrot on his shoulder, and then I linked it to a boat, but not actually being a pirate, but just being a ship and being like a cook on a ship. And I asked him, what about that? Do you feel like you've had, on the way back after I did the walk, that was when I had that second one. So first time it was in the house when I had the vision of his first life, and then I had another vision when I was doing the walk about what his second life was. And he said that he had actually had fascination with ships when he was younger, and he used to always love going down to the docks to see them and stuff. So, and he believes that is likely. Maybe he did have, a past life as a chef on a cook. And I think he had a parrot. I've got a feeling he had a parrot. Sometimes if they're trying to find land or something, they have like a bird. But I see he had a good. I see a parrot. I don't know. I see a parrot in it. But yeah. And so after building up this sort of profile of who I think he is, I think he's very trustworthy, and he shouldn't have social services treating him like he needs assessing. He doesn't need assessing. You just need to have a half an hour conversation, see him hug the kids, see him, say how 1 out of 10, how concerned is he over this child? 10. How loving is he towards the child? 10. How trustworthy is he towards? I would say 10. He doesn't want to lose his child, and therefore you don't need an extensive test. To think he needs this extensive test just proves how fucked up social services is, because you're treating these really good parent and a really bad parent as if they are the same. It's one unit. They all need our help. No, they don't need your help. Sophie, if she was on her own, or with Donnie, or with some other random. And I also worked out a lot about my sister this weekend as well. My sister, she's like a parrot. She really is. She's like a parrot. And I think before she was human, I think she had a few lives as a parrot, definitely, because she's got that parrot, like just wanting to copy. When she was with George, she was like George. When she was dating Donnie and all these other guys, she was like Donnie and all these other guys. And now she's dating this guy. She's trying to mold herself and mimic herself to be like this guy. So she is like a parrot. I believe that I had a child with someone who died when I was at Dala, and I was reborn in my stomach, and so I rebirthed, so the father became the son. I believe that happened to me, and I think Sophie's done the same. And so it's this sort of parrot syndrome that she's got, just parrot. And I think this is actually the reason why she had that mental breakdown and mental instability, because she was dating like six guys, like maybe random, like I don't know how often she would see them all, but there was a time, like 2 years, where she was dating like lots of different people. And it's not that she's mentally unstable. I think every time she met a new person, she was trying to mold herself to be like that person. I remember her telling me that because I was trying to get her to settle down with one. Which one do you prefer more? And she was like, well, they're all different. tell me more. Well, I don't know, she doesn't really tell me much, but she said they were all different, and that she could see herself with being all with all of them, and she wants to just be with all of them. But this is probably what's caused her emotional imbalance, because she's trying to be like all of them, but if they're all different and she's trying to be like all of them. In fact, one of them, there was two that she gave an accurate description for, and they were like sounded like almost opposites. Like one would actually go around picking up trash as a hobby, and the other one would just drop trash as a hobby. So there's two different, yeah. And if she's trying to be like all these different people, like copy them and be the same, then no wonder she developed some sort of schizo personality because she was trying to be like lots of people. And also, my mum was a big influence. Now, I need medication when I'm around my mum because she's so stressed. She stresses me out so much so that I need medication whenever I'm around her. And yeah, because someone, a doctor came, and it was strange because I was saying in my head how the best type of social worker. So I'm going to say this in the next part. I'll say this in the next one because this is 21 minutes again.